Moving forward to item E, discussion of concealed carry regulations at Union Township buildings. So this is new business as an open item of discussion.
I'll start.
Yes, sir.
I got kind of a three-point, discussion on this, and item one is the longest. So, I got a document from March 9th, 2017. So, I was a member of the General Assembly at the time. We had just changed the law. It was in the process of going into effect. It was always normally a 90-day waiting period, so it was during that 90-day waiting period. And I came to the Board of Trustees at that time. It was a different board than sitting up here now, and gave them a presentation on what the law said previously, what the new law was, and encouraged the board to allow open carry in the buildings, in the government buildings. I'm sorry, I got a cold. I'm still trying to get over that. Open carry is allowed. What the law permitted, or the change in the law, made it permissible for the trustees as well as county officials, villages, made it permissible for them to allow concealed carry. So for CCW or CHL, depending which terminology you want to use, CHL is concealed handgun license. That's what's found in the Ohio Revised Code. CCW is more common in the lexicon, concealed carry weapon. And so the question would be, do we allow, cannot stop open carry. It is what it is, that's state law. The question is, do we allow concealed carry or not? And under the current policy, and the default position under the law, is that without regard to if you have a license or not, it just doesn't matter. If you're concealed carrying in this building, it's a felony. And so I did a presentation to ask the board to change that and permit it. So I had 2 pages. This was kind of the original document here. And one point I brought up was that with the school board here, they have school board meetings. And one of the questions would be, during a school board meeting, could somebody carry a gun? So that's actually a different question, because we're not talking about concealed carry versus open carry. We're talking about can you carry a gun at all, period. So the way the law reads on that is there's no guns allowed. There's always like exceptions to everything, like law enforcement and such. But generally speaking, there's no guns allowed in what's called a school safety zone. And a school safety zone is defined as any place where there's a school activity. Then you get into the question of, well, what is a school activity? Well, that's the kind of stuff courts decide. So the argument would be, and again, a court would have to decide this, is a school board meeting a school board activity? If a court decided the answer to that question is yes, then open carry is not allowed in a school board meeting, let alone concealed carry. So that's really not a question for us tonight. It's just kind of an aside for additional information. So that was pretty much the first page of what I gave. The second page, I started out with going over Ohio Revised Code 9.68a. And it's kind of lengthy, and it's very broad language about kind of how, why, and where guns are allowed in the state of Ohio. And it's very broad, and there's always exceptions written beyond this. But pointed out that A gives kind of the broad permission, and it's understood to be open carry, even though it doesn't say open carry. And there's other sections of the code referring to concealed carry. Now, there's a sign outside this building that says no guns allowed. That only it's not clear on the sign. That only refers to concealed carry. Open carry is permitted. So in 9.68b, that's just some brief language that says, open carry is permitted, and if the powers that be tries to shut that down, then you can get sued, and they're gonna collect from you. That doesn't apply to retail establishments. If there's a sign in the door of a retail establishment that says no guns allowed, that's no guns at all, period, and that's their prerogative. So what I want to read to you is this last section of, I guess it's the last half of the second page on this. So I think sums up where I was at the time. Then I have some more current information. So again, open carry is legal in this building. Under current law, concealed carry in this building is a felony of the 4th degree. It does not matter if you have a CHL or not. Again, CHL is concealed handgun license. In my opinion, the law is contrary to public safety. For example, if Joe Citizen were to walk into this room with a sidearm and unknowingly sits down next to a deranged individual, that person could fight for the gun with deadly consequences. Conversely, if Joe Citizen were carrying concealed, nobody would ever know. However, if the deranged person brought his own gun into the building, Joe Citizen would be in a good position to save the lives of many. I'd also like to point out that qualifying for a CHL requires a background check. Additionally, they must be fingerprinted, photographed, and trained in gun safety and marksmanship. These people are the cream of the crop of the citizenry and are not the people you need to worry about. And then item number 2. All right, I'm going to wing it. Item number 2, it was in the September issue of the Becker report, where I put in there some examples of, if Rambo were to walk into this room, which he's perfectly allowed to under state law. You can walk in here, locked and loaded. You can be wearing camouflage. You can be, wearing body armor, and you can have a backpack full of ammunition. State law permits all of that, and he can't be thrown out unless he is doing something threatening. Carrying a gun in and of itself is not considered threatening. However, if Grandma comes in here who has a CHL and a .22 revolver, in her purse or under her blanket, oh no, that's a felony. She's going to jail for that. So I think that's a stark inequity in the law, and I think that that needs to be changed. And the third item I had, and this was just a brief story kind of on this topic in the General Assembly, where I was the chairman of the Federalism Committee, and we were hearing a gun bill. And one of the ladies that gave testimony against the bill, and testimony is what we call, if you're at the podium and you're giving your thoughts for or against the bill, we call that testimony. And she was a minister, and she said something to the effect of, there is no God-given right to carry a gun. And I got out my tablet and I looked that up and I got thinking, well, no, wait a minute, I think there's an argument to the other side of that. And I want to say it was in, I had it written down somewhere, it's in Luke. I have to find it. But anyway, it's in Luke where Jesus told his disciples to carry a sword. So I quoted that to the minister and I said to her, I said, this isn't my area of expertise, it's yours. How are we today what does that verse mean to us today? Or how are we to live by that verse today is what my question was. And she and I just stared at each other like two cats, squaring off. It was a pregnant pause, seemed like minutes, it was really just a few seconds, and she finally blurted out, I'm not going to get into a theological debate with you. And I said, fine, and I just moved on to the next question. With that, Mr. Chairman, those are my remarks.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, final thing, I didn't find my notes I was looking for before. My apologies for misplacing that. But that scripture verse was Luke 22:36. Jesus said to his apostles, by now, if you have a purse, take it, and also, I said, but now, if you have a purse, take it, and also a bag, and if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. That was what I was ad-libbing prior.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Becker, and